We've also seen a lot of vehicles being stolen in Illinois or Chicago, crossing into the Indiana state line, committing other crimes, drive-by shootings, homicides, burglaries.
So it's getting sunny in Indiana. And listen, Indiana's always had its Gary, Indiana. It's like a baby Chicago. It's a very dangerous place. Indianapolis, extremely dangerous place. I mean, extremely. But now they say Chicago residents. So it's not like people who've moved from Chicago, who fled Chicago and went to Indianapolis and Gary and South Bend. Where Mayor Buttigieg hails from. But it's not that. It's literally Chicago residents coming into Indiana, committing crimes, and going back home. So this is a different thing. This isn't the usual way they've destroyed Indiana, just by moving there and bringing their BS with them. And remember when I told you that some men are everywhere now? Like I often travel up and down the Eastern Seaboard. You guys know that, if you've been following the channel for a while. And I promise you, man, 5-10 years ago, there were towns you wouldn't see them at. Or you'd see one, it'd be like a working guy or a delivery guy or a family or something. Now you're seeing teens with their pants sagging. Look like they up to no good. In these little towns where you're like, what? Y'all here now? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this can be reversed. Because where do you move? Usually in the past, there would be a glacier glider flight. So glacier gliders would see a lot of some people moving to the town and they move out to a suburb. Then some people moved in and they would move out again. Then eventually, when the city got to a certain level where it needed a tax bracket, the city would make it comfortable for the glacier gliders to come back. Like you saw in DC, Philadelphia, Harlem, different places, LA, where you see gentrification going on. They call that gentrification, but really it's glacier gliders just returning to the place where they fled from 50, 60, 40, 30 years ago, whatever it may be. But now, sunmen are everywhere and there's nowhere to go. So it's going to be interesting watching this over the next couple of years.
We've also seen a lot of vehicles being stolen in Illinois or Chicago, crossing into the Indiana state line, committing other crimes, drive-by shootings, homicides, burglaries.
Chicago criminals are targeting Indiana, and police there say they are fighting back.
From fast cars to new technology, the Lake County, Indiana Sheriff's Department is using every means possible to catch up with criminals.
Natalie is back with more. Natalie.
You know, in Illinois, we've seen police departments handcuffed by policies that won't allow them to chase down criminals. But just across the border in Indiana, police are pulling out all the stops, and it's working.
They think if they get to the Illinois state line or into Chicago that the Lake County Sheriff's Department will not chase them. Well, that's incorrect.
Remember I told you guys that whenever sisters or pasty liberals or BLM or anybody like that fights for some rule to make crime easier or to handcuff the police, make the police job harder, the criminals know this. They know, and they instantly take advantage of it. Okay? You have to understand, this is why I rail so hard against those. You might get, a lot of y'all might, not a lot of y'all, some of y'all may come in and be like, man, he's going so hard on liberals. Everything isn't liberals' fault. He's going so hard on sisters. Everything's not sisters' fault. Well, yeah, I mean, I go hard on sun men, and I'm a sun man. I don't see y'all complaining about that. But we have aiders and abettors to our destruction of this country. It's people who fight for police reform and criminal justice reform. Those things, the criminals are the only ones who benefit from that. You working at the post office, you don't get nothing out of criminal justice reform. Sister, you sitting there, the clerical assistant or administrative assistant at some office or some dental hygienist or paralegal, you don't get nothing out of criminal justice reform. Only people who get things out of these laws that y'all change with, like, where they can't chase the criminals into other jurisdictions, and or the police can't use chokeholds, or they can't do this, or they can't search that, or they can't. All you're doing is making crime easier for criminals. I'm a criminal and I know the cop can't put me in a chokehold. I'm going to fight like crazy now, because that was one thing that I was afraid of. Okay, he could put me in a headlock and subdue me. Now I know, okay, I'm fighting a guy who got to play by rules. I can put him in a headlock. He just can't put me in a headlock. So I have the advantage.
You know, in Illinois, we've seen police departments handcuffed by policies that won't allow them to chase down criminals. But just across the border in Indiana, police are pulling out all the stops, and it's working.
They think if they get to the Illinois state line or into Chicago that the Lake County Sheriff's Department will not chase them. Well, that's incorrect.
The Lake County, Indiana Sheriff's Department is not only fighting crime, they're getting ahead of it, and they're doing it with these.
These vehicles are the common vehicles that the car thieves steal because they're high-performance vehicle. They have 707 horsepowers. They do nearly 200 miles an hour.
Sheriff Oscar Martinez Jr. says his department has purchased 9 of these high-performance vehicles to keep up with criminals. He did it without using taxpayer dollars, and he says his officers are highly trained in driving them to end a car chase.
We will chase you, we will catch you, and we will take you to jail. Our officers are highly trained in pursuit driving. They have specialized skills to try to end a pursuit safely, and we will extradite you. We will extradite you back into Indiana, and where our prosecutor, that it's a stickler on crimes here in Indiana.
Those are some nice cars. And did you hear what he said? Their prosecutor is a stickler on crimes in Indiana. Unlike the prosecutor in Cook County in Chicago, unlike the prosecutor in Philadelphia, Baltimore, on and on, New York, their prosecutor in this town in Indiana is a stickler. Hit one if you wouldn't mind living in a place like this where the prosecutor's a stickler on crime. Maybe Lake County is one place that you might be able to move to when you're trying to flee all the sun violence.
Our officers are highly trained in pursuit driving. They have specialized skills to try to end a pursuit safely. And we will extradite you. We will extradite you back into Indiana, and where our prosecutor, that it's a stickler on crimes here in Indiana.
This year already, the Lake County, Indiana Sheriff's Department has had 84 pursuits. They had 95 in all of 2020. In half of the cases this year, they caught up to the criminals and arrested them. Indiana law enforcement say criminals often run to the Illinois border.
We've stopped cars, and those cars have had guns in them that were on their way to Chicago.
Is it happening more often now than before?
Yes.
That might be because the pursuit policy for Illinois State Police is much stricter. Troopers must assess risk based on a 14-point checklist. They also cannot pursue for traffic offenses, while Indiana State Police can, depending on the severity of the offense. In Chicago, police are not allowed to chase a vehicle unless it's first approved by a supervisor, who must determine if the risk of a chase is greater than the risk of letting someone escape.
You have to allow your officers to do their job, and doing their job properly, holding them accountable, but also giving them the resources, the training, and the equipment to do their job.
Illinois State Police just installed license plate reading cameras on interstates, but Lake County, Indiana is already using the technology. There are more than 70 already reporting to police.
That technology, we're able to identify stolen vehicles, individuals that are wanted on warrant, registered sex offenders that are frequently driving around parks or schools.
Many of the stolen vehicles, the sheriff says, are used in drive-by shootings, homicides, ATM thefts, and smash-and-grab burglaries.
Wow. Salute to these cops, man, and everything that they're doing here in Lake County, man. The people of Lake County should be very proud, and it would be nice if they would commend it's funny how you can go out and protest and burn stuff and make a fuss about how much you hate your police when some career criminal son, man, loses a fight to one of them or a group of them. But these police are doing a lot, man. It's insane how much they're doing to keep these people safe, man. It would be nice to see these people show some appreciation about this, man. I know they won't, because that's not polite, that's not woke, because these same cops are just running around killing sunmen for no reason, and if you praise them, you're actually, praising the death of innocent sunmen for no reason. But it'd be nice if the people there could grow a pair and show these cops some love, because they're doing a lot, man. They're going above and beyond. It says salute to the prosecutor, salute to everybody in this town. Because even if you're a thug and you want some, man, I don't need police, man. I handle it myself. They run up on me, man. I got the steel on me, man. I got the strap on me, man. They're going to get these shots. Okay. But what about your grandmother? What about your auntie? Because they targeting elderly people. What about kids? Because kids are getting killed every day in Blackistan, every city, every county, every day. What about them? We get it. You a tough guy. You a bad dude. Anybody mess with you, they're gonna feel it. What about other people? You ever think about that for a second?
Illinois State Police just installed license plate reading cameras on interstates, but Lake County, Indiana is already using the technology. There are more than 70 already reporting to police.
That technology, we're able to identify stolen vehicles, individuals that are wanted on warrant, registered sex offenders that are frequently driving around parks or schools.
Many of the stolen vehicles, the sheriff says, are used in drive-by shootings, homicides, ATM thefts, and smash-and-grab burglaries.
I feel like we've taken more guns off the streets in the past 2-3 years because of the training we're getting now and the equipment that we have.
Now, there are some things that you can do to protect yourself from becoming a victim. The Lake County Sheriff says always lock your car doors, don't leave the keys in your vehicle, and always take firearms, purses, and wallets out of your vehicle when you're not in it. Corey?
Monday evening, just before 6:30, Pleasant Prairie police say an officer stopped to help a few people pushing a car that ran out of gas. Turns out it was 3 boys, an 11, 12, and 13-year-old, but that was just the beginning of what officers would find.
Pleasant Prairie. I told there's nowhere to run now. You can't even move to Pleasant Prairie. There's 11-year-olds running around with guns. There's 11-year-olds driving around with guns in Pleasant Prairie.
Monday evening, just before 6:30, Pleasant Prairie police say an officer stopped to help a few people pushing a car that ran out of gas. Turns out it was 3 boys, an 11, 12, and 13-year-old, but that was just the beginning of what officers would find.
This is still one of those incidents that kind of shocks you a little bit.
The officer searched the 13-year-old.
He asks him if he has anything, and he says he's got a BB gun in his pocket. The officer does recover a gun out of his interior jacket pocket, and it was not a BB gun. It was a 9mm handgun.
Police also say they found ammo in the car, plus a second handgun and 50-round drum magazine in a backpack the kids allegedly stashed in a yard.
These teens was riding around to use that stuff, okay? Well, scratch that. These preteens, because 11 and 12 are not teens. These preteens wow. Think about that, man. They're running around with an arsenal. Wow. In Pleasant Prairie.
What's an 11, 12, and 13-year-old doing with guns and driving a vehicle?
That's a great question.
The chief says the three boys are from Zion, Illinois, just over the border. They reportedly stole this rental car from Kenosha and were headed back to Zion until they ran out of gas on 39th Avenue. The renter told police he left his guns and ammo in the car. Now, the chief says the 13-year-old boy was arrested. The other two were given back to their parents, but he says this could have ended much differently.
Had the situations changed, had the circumstances been a little bit different, could have ended up in a regrettable tragedy for the kids and for anybody else who came upon them.
In Pleasant Prairie, Hillary Mintz, WISN 12 News.